Hi friends, normally 4K projectors are available for several £100s, but this guy is available on Amazon for around about £50 or £60. So for that price, is it any good? Well, let's find out. A quick disclaimer, I did actually receive this unit in order to do a review, but I'm actually going to give you my honest thoughts, including the pros and also the cons, whether I actually think it's worth any money. Now, one of the main features of this is that it's actually 4K ready, supposedly. Now, I did actually watch some 4K videos on YouTube with this little device, and they were perfectly watchable. Whether they're actually true 4K or not, couldn't really tell you, but they're kind of fine. And the sound volume is kind of reasonable, I suppose. Again, for watching kind of casual videos, no problem there. Now, of course, you also got an HDMI socket on the back, so you can actually connect it directly to a laptop if you've got an HDMI socket. That I found that was probably the most reliable way of watching videos personally. Now, one of the things that I found particularly interesting is it's got an Android operating system built onto this projector. So it doesn't necessarily need to be connected to a laptop or a mobile device. You can actually use it standalone, which is quite nice. So it gives you a little menu system. You've got a remote control that you can use and just set it up, and which means you can connect it to Wi-Fi, for example, and then you've got the usual candidates for smart TVs such as Netflix. I think Disney's there. There's a YouTube app, of course. I think BBC iPlayer and other bits and bobs like that. So that's very nice. You can just connect it up and just stream straight off any streaming service. It's also got a built-in storage as well. Now it's about 8 GB, of which around about 5.5 or 5 GB is actual usable space for you to copy your own media up and onto the device using a little USB connector, just a normal, straightforward, happy clappy use USB device connector there. So just chuck on your videos and then you can just take this guy along, switch it on, and hey presto, you can watch your videos. Now, of course, it's also got the ability to do some streaming from your sort of media service. For example, I think it's got all the usual candidates. I'm no expert on what they are, but I did see a whole load on there in terms of streaming from Android. It's also got AirPlay ability, so you can stream from any Apple device as well. So that's pretty good. Now, that's for the sort of pros. So it's quite nice for the features. Now, in terms of the cons itself, when I was actually experimenting with this little device, I did find a few little kind of, I guess, annoyances which would probably prevent me from using it, much in terms of like movies and stuff. Now, the first one was the fact that I found it a little bit tricky to get this thing to sort of be square on the actual wall. I found that, even though it's on a flat surface, the corners were a little bit like crooked, I suppose, and you do have the ability to kind of adjust that using the app on the device, but I couldn't quite get it satisfactory. It just looks a little bit like trapezoid or something, or parallelogram or something like that. It wasn't quite a sort of square. It looks a bit weird. The next thing that I found a little bit annoying was the fact that it seemed to keep to sort of popping out of focus a little bit. It didn't look super sharp until you twisted the little at the front here. You've got a sort of turning wheel which allows you to change the focus, and you can turn that. It then goes sharp, stays sharp for maybe a few minutes, and then it just seems to go out of focus a little bit. So that's a little bit annoying. I found myself constantly adjusting it. It's also a little bit noisy because it's got a fan built in, so that might be normal for other projectors. I've never had any other projectors, so I wouldn't necessarily know. But if you're trying to watch a movie, for example, then it's not going to work unless you're using things like headphones, and then you maybe won't hear it. The feature, of course, the other thing is the fact you can't really watch this in daylight, of course, and that's probably true for all projectors, I would say. So you can only watch it in sort of dark situations, obviously at night time. So you're not going to replace your normal TV or whatever you do watching a film during the daytime. You just really can't see what's going on. Now, one of the other things I found was particularly, I guess, annoying for me was the fact that when I was trying to use the YouTube app, and with the remote control, I just found it a little bit difficult to sort of navigate and respond to the remote control. Now that might just be me just being old and a bit of an idiot and can't operate the YouTube app, but I don't need to have much issues with any other device. But it seemed like the remote control was just a little bit not sensitive or not sensitive enough, or maybe this. And a lot of the time you're pressing buttons and nothing was happening. So, and then it would suddenly spring into action. It's just a bit weird. So that would kind of put me off using it and sort of seriously, I guess. But one thing I did find you could use is if you just wanted to quickly chuck on a video just with friends or something like that to show them something, then it does have that kind of I guess appeal. Personally, if I was in a situation in terms of spending 60 or 70 pounds, for an impulse buy, maybe a present or something, then yeah, go for it. It's probably a good, nice novelty toy. But for a sort of serious cinema or anything like that, then this is not going to sort of work. You're going to have to spend a lot more money and get something, a much higher quality, I guess. Hope that video is useful, guys. It's just my honest thoughts about this actual projector, whether and I hope it's useful in terms of whether you would decide to purchase it or not.